I want to show a clip that I think can get us off to a good start in this, trying to bridge some of these divisions.
Was it great? We went to the helicopter. It was freezing. The sun is a little deceptive.
Yes, it is.
So what would you like us to do?
Sign your orders.
Official documents.
Okay, I assume they're going to be happy with these documents?
Yeah, they're we might not be here.
It's the next step.
It's a tradition.
Sir, the first is 22 cabinet and cabinet level appointments for your signature.
Okay.
The next one will be, excuse me, the next one will be 47 sub-cabinet level appointments, sir.
But you don't have to sign 47 times.
Thank you, sir. Now 31 acting designations and appointments to effectively take control of the government.
Let's do that. Yeah, that's important.
That's important, isn't it?
And we have 15 commission chairman and acting chairman appointments.
Send him.
Commission chairman and acting chairman.
He was #1 at Harvard also. You know that?
Good counsel.
They have something in common.
Thank you, sir. Lastly, we have a proclamation ordering on all future inauguration days, including this inauguration day, that flags shall be flown at full mast.
Very important.
That was a beautiful place to have an inauguration tonight. The sound was so good. The temperature was 72 degrees, but the sound was so good. Maybe something to think about.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
Good acoustics. Yes.
All right. Now
That's
thank you. We go to lunch.
Great. Very
Nice to
good.
meet you. Thank you very much. There we go. Like that. See you.
Thank you, Mr. Sir.
Mr. President, did you have a good meeting with former President Biden?
Very nice. Very nice. It's a beautiful custom.
Mr. President,
It goes back as long as helicopters. Before that, it was a stagecoach. But it was, I thought it was beautiful. Thank you. Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Check.
Mr. President, do you have any reaction to the pardons President Biden did at the last minute?
Well, I'm not going to discuss it now. I think it was unfortunate that he did that. We won't discuss it now. There's plenty of time to discuss it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Should we go to lunch?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Head to lunch.
Ready for lunch? Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay.
That was 3 times the number of appointments you did in 2017, sir. Plenty of time. Just getting started.
A lot of good work to do. So where are we going to stop at? Council.
Try to work through your documents.
So that's when they get green.
Thank you.
That was great. That was great.
Right?
That was great. Standing ovation.
I liked it.
Full disclosure. You are poor. He's fighting for me.
I just think that is just such a brilliant distillation of where we are. People don't know. You live in rural Ohio. People think of you as this urban legend, but you actually live in rural Ohio.
Yes, I do.
And now we're, 2 years in. The economy has gotten better than it's continued to get better. What would you say to those folks who are still big Trump supporters today as we go into the midterms?
This is a tough question for me, Van. I got to tell you, first of all, the town that I live in is a small town.
Yes.
And it's like a little blue Bernie Sanders island in the Trump Sea. They love Donald Trump. I don't even know that they love him as much as they're frustrated, they're fed up, and a lot of these white people feel like their voices don't matter anymore. That their concerns aren't important or what have you. So, to be honest with you, in the name of safety, I won't tell him anything about that guy. I don't believe that I'll change him by his mind or anything. Right. But for me personally, I get along with everybody, whether I agree with them politically or not.
Right.
But
I thought,
when you're actually trying to pull this democracy together, keep it from getting torn apart, you have to talk to everybody. You have to listen to everybody.
That's right.
I was out on the Eastern Shore, and I was giving a speech. And a guy who voted for Trump asked me what I thought about Medicare for all. And I said, I support it. He said, well, what if they won't do it at the federal level? I said, then we'll do it at the state level. He said, then I'll vote for you.
Trump support.
Yeah, I said, and I kind of stopped. I said, you voted for Trump, and now you're going to vote for the former national president of the NAACP. I said, tell me why. He said, I'm a finance manager at a car dealership. My bottom line is my business and my people. Neither one of them gets healthier until we can get health care we can afford. And if he won't do it, and you will, then I'll vote for you.
There is this question, though, around Democrats versus Republicans. And you have people like Kanye West who's saying, listen, love you guys and Democrats.
Excuse me 1 second.
Why don't you just put him on FaceTime?
Well, you know where I'm going with this. Kanye says that, it's time out for Democrats. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that, first of all, Kanye is an artist, man.
Yes.
And he's a genius.
Absolutely.
Whatever he's saying right now, I think that the angle he's seeing things from is about the division that he sees. And he's not inconsistent with what he's saying. For instance, a decade ago, I read a quote where he said he wanted to take the Confederate flag and reappropriate it some other different kind of way. I mean, there's a MAGA hat, whatever, man. The thing that's scary about this presidency is after it. I don't know if you've been married before or had a girlfriend and said something in a fight that was so wrong, and then after that, we still family, we still around each other, but man, I sure did say all that shit, didn't I? And I'm not mad at Kanye. That's my brother. I love him. I support him. I buy his albums.
No clap. Oh, man, that was rough.
I know, whether people clap or not, But, I don't have to agree with everything that he says. I just trust him as a person of intent. But, he shouldn't say all that shit.
But let me take it on the argument then. So to take his personality out of it. What about the argument he's making, which is that, it's almost you're in this PC prison, you can't say anything, and you're not allowed to vote for Republicans if you're African American. What's your argument to people who feel like it's time to give Republicans a chance? It's an argument being made by a minority.
But I'll say this: I'm not a partisan dude. If he ran as a Republican, I'd vote Republican. If I got a chance to vote for somebody like this, I'm voting for.
This isn't about party. This is about ideas.
That's right.
The ideas have kind of migrated from party to party. The Democrats used to be much more conservative. Today, however, unfortunately, there's only one party that stands for civil rights. There's only one party that stands for environmental protection. And we have to, as voters, really listen to the ideas. What I say to folks is that look, the war on drugs has failed. Trickle-down economics has failed. We have to have the courage to put ideas on the table that actually lift up working families, white, black, brown, Native American, Asian American. We've got to move beyond the labels of party and look at ideas, but let's also be clear. Donald Trump's party is Donald Trump's party, and what they stand for right now, we have to fight with everything we have.
The other big issue, we're talking about race, talking about class, gender. We're now in a situation where a whole new set of voices is coming forward. How do you guys look at the role of this new movement for women's empowerment, the Me Too movement, et cetera?
I hope it succeeds. What we all have to realize is that we all have to stand up in this moment and say that these women who have the courage to step forward, these men in many places, the courage to step forward who were sexually assaulted as well, we have to believe survivors. We have to have their back, and we have to figure out how we finally leap forward. Because we've been staying stuck for a long time. It shattered a lot of lives, and enough is enough.
Yeah, I think that for most men, especially the men that I'm talking to, one, I'll tell you that as a movement, it's effective. Like in Hollywood, the man, they are buttoning up.
Which is good.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's better than good. It's necessary. Two, I'll say that there's a lot of men that are learning for the first time the extent of the plight of the women in their lives.
We're just learning that consent is important. Most of our states, they don't teach consent when they teach sex ed. Think about that.
That's right. And this is a tough discussion, but it needs to be had. Yeah. And people need to learn the lessons, and we need to listen to one another. Yeah. I think that some people are so threatened by the movement, or they're so worried about it, that they're not hearing the messaging behind it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's an idea this time has come, and we'll see.
Did you watch the Kavanaugh testimony, the hearings, all that kind of stuff?
I've seen highlights. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. What was your take and impression? Can you imagine an African American or a female yelling at them senators like that?
Oh, you mean the way that Kavanaugh yelled?
Yeah. Or any of it.
You know, man, I'm from this area. Like, I grew up around here, and the sad thing about it is, I believe, sadly, if that woman had gone to the police in 1982 and told them exactly what she had told the Senate, that he wouldn't have gone to jail. Not in that place, not in that time, not with no name like Brett Kavanaugh. It was daunting. It also made me sad that this is a national discussion that's happening during a Supreme Court nominee's hearing. It's a tough time for this country, man.
We got a lot more to talk about. I want to talk to Ben, and I want to talk to Dave Chappelle about mass incarceration and marijuana, which I never thought I'd talk to Ben Jealous about when we get back. All right. Welcome back to the Van Jones Show. I'm here with comedy legend Dave Chappelle and the man that got him to wade into politics, Democratic nominee for the Maryland governorship, Ben Jealous. Give them both a round of applause to be back. What did you say to Ben Jealous to get him to be pro-marijuana decriminalization? Because I've known Ben for a long time, and that is not Ben's thing. So what did you must have done, you must have said something. I'm not nearly as fun as some of my friends. Exactly. I can testify that you are not. So what was that conversation like to get somebody like a Ben Jealous to be on board with decriminalizing marijuana?
Well, Ben, you just got to be consistent. No, I'm just kidding. I couldn't take credit for it, man. But I got to say, when I heard it was on his platform, I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. I think that it's a very important issue, especially in the state of Maryland. And you can speak more about that, but how it affects Baltimore. But as you know, Maryland's gone through a lot the last few years. We had big uprisings in Baltimore City after the Freddie Gray case. 2 years later, murders have kept climbing up. I asked a retired member of the Baltimore Police Department, recently retired captain, to go across the city, as only a retired member of BPD could, and talk to commanders on the ground and find out what they were saying about why murders were going on. He came back, he said, there are two interesting data points. He said, one was that nobody could really agree, a lot of debate about what's been happening in the last 2 years. He said, on the other hand, if the question is what's been going on in the last 10 years, they were all in agreement that half the shootings in the city, half the murders in the city were one set of marijuana dealers killing another set of marijuana dealers. And I said, how could that be? I think it was a relatively peaceful drug. He says, but it's not about the drug. It's about the trade. The violence of the trade is about territory.
And a little idea, went, a little light bulb went off in my head. So look, this is no more harmful than alcohol, and alcohol we all know can be very harmful in many ways. Then if we legalize it, and the police officer told me we can bring down killings, I said, well, what's happening in Washington State? What's happening in Colorado? Killings are coming down. And I said, and then we take money out of the pockets of gangs and cartels, and we put the money in the pockets of farmers and business people, and we do that in an equitable way. That's a big deal. And then we tax it, and we take the money that we can tax from it, and we're able to fund, it's enough money to fund universal pre-K for every universal full-day pre-K for every 4-year-old in the state.
So you came at it more as a business guy and as a smart dad guy, as opposed to...
Well, and as a murder victim family member. I've had 2 family members shot in Maryland in the last 10 years. And if you tell me that we can bring down killings by legalizing cannabis, you have my full attention.
I'm just saying, man, it doesn't just quell violence in Baltimore. It stops a lot of violence and a lot of mayhem. And it's fun to smoke and relax.
Well, look, that may be true about marijuana, but there are other drugs that are much worse. Our mutual friend, all of us had a mutual friend in Prince who died because of a fentanyl overdose. I saw you in a stand-up thing in Los Angeles where you were talking about the impact of heroin in rural America. What are you seeing in rural America when it comes to this whole opioid epidemic?
A role reversal.
A role reversal?
Yeah. Poor white people look like black people in the 80s with a different drug of choice. And it's very sad to hear the vocabulary, now this is a health crisis. We were begging for them to call that crack epidemic a health crisis. We were criminalized, we were marginalized, and now these heroin addicts are here, and man, if they don't have our baby clothes on, it's terrible to see.
In both ways. It's terrible to see the pain and suffering, and terrible to see the hypocrisy politically.
Yeah.
What's your concern about marijuana legalization possibly then opening the floodgates for things like opioids, heroin, fentanyl?
There's a lot of lives that are being shattered right now. I mean, opioid deaths in Maryland up 160% in 4 years. We have to treat it like a public health crisis. And I wish we could go back in time. We can't. We just got to learn and go forward. In that respect, this is a gateway drug to common sense on drug reform. Wow. We've got to deal with this public health crisis as a public health crisis.
Famously on SNL, you said you wanted to give Trump a chance, but you also wanted to make sure that he gave disenfranchised people a chance. Looking at the Trump presidency almost 2 years in, do you feel that he gave disenfranchised people a chance?
It's hard to tell where Trump ends and his constituents begin, but I think that the rhetoric of his presidency is repugnant. I just don't like the way he talks. I don't like, we're living in a time where there's got to be a little more cultural sensitivity. And even a guy like me that's just writing jokes, I have to listen more than I've ever had to listen because the gripes are coming so fast and furious. And I'm not dismissive of people's gripes. It might sound like it on stage, but I listen. And as a president of a country that's as eclectic as ours, you look around your crowd, you see it's like a patchwork of people. I just think that he's speaking to a very small choir. And there's so many more opinions that the way he engages the public is dismissive. I don't like talking bad about the president, but I said we should give him a chance because he's the president of the United States now. What choice do I have?
Right.
But I think you also apologized for that sometime later, didn't you?
Well, I don't ever apologize for that. What I said is, I said I shouldn't have said that shit.
Let's be clear, right? Let's be clear. Donald Trump is playing a politics of divide and conquer. He's picking scapegoats all day long. Muslims, Mexicans, immigrants, black folks, women, it goes on and on.
Yep.
Right? Occasionally, and so what do we do in that moment? We actually have to listen to each other. We have to talk to each other respectfully. We got to pull each other together because the only thing that beats the politics of divide and conquer is the politics of unite and prosper.
If you look at things right, the guy is absolutely right. Democrats used to be Republicans, and Republicans used to be Democrats. Back in this, before things changed, the guy is absolutely right. There's something that is very, very interesting that which a lot of people don't know. Do you know that the Diversified Visa Lordship Program, let me even see when was DV Lordship Program introduced in place? Program introduction. Do you know that the diversified visa lottery program, what year was it introduced? So the DV lottery program is should let's see what year did the program build? Let me see. Ah ah let me see what bill is that? When let me check on when did the visa lottery program was signed. When was the visa lottery program bill passed? You know, they say the diversified visa lottery program, also known as the Green Card Lottery, was established by Congress called the Immigration Act of 1990. You know, was created to provide immigrants visas to non-citizens from countries with lower immigration rates to the United States. The program was a continuation of earlier experiment with the diversified-based immigration programs in the 90s. The program established an annual limit of 55 different immigrants from fiscal year from 1995 and beyond. The program opened doors to new groups of immigrants from regions like Africa and Eastern Europe. They say the Secretary of Homeland Security determines which countries are considered low admission countries using a mathematical formula. So, the most interesting thing about this is the Immigration Act was passed with bipartisan support and signed by President George Bush the first, and it was signed by Republicans. Can you imagine? George H. Walker Bush the first, Howard Walker Bush the first, was the father of George Bush. You know, and the funny thing is, it was signed by Republicans. You know, and now things have changed to a point where and now things have changed to a point where it is instead Democrats now that are more pro-migration, pro-immigrants, and not Republicans anymore. That is to show you and tell you the drastic shift. You know, that's to tell you the drastic shift. You know, so that's to tell you that as time goes on, right, our objectives, our likeness, our the things that we want slowly changes and slowly shifts. You know, and if we look at the way things are now, Democrats are pro-immigrants, Republicans are not against immigrants, and the bill was introduced because America needed people so much, So that's why the bill was introduced. That's why the bill was introduced. So now things have changed to a point where people will not want. A lot of people are against, not against immigrants, against illegal immigrants, which they're absolutely right. Right, it's good for people to come into the country legally. And as this guy said, one of the most important things is to work together, and not just work together. We work together in taking the nation forward because the nation needs to take forward, needs to move forward. And the nation can't move forward if we don't work together. That is why bipartisan bills are very, very important. Very, very crucial, important to really not only take the nation forward, but to really help the nation in achieving its objectives, its goals, and it's planned because um, without the nation working together, it will be absolutely difficult to achieve the goals and objectives that's really needed. And one of the things I really, really like so much, especially in this President Trump's election, is a lot of people sided with him as compared to 2016, where 2016 when people never sided with him. But now, a lot of people are inside with him, and not just inside with him, but a lot of people, a lot of people support him. Support his ideas, his plans, his agendas. And I would say at the end of the day, he has a great heart for the nation. He wants to see the nation move forward. He wants to see the nation get better, and he's indeed a good leader for America, a leader that America needs, especially in moments like this, in moments and periods like this. Peace need to continue to be in the world, and the war in Russia and Ukraine needs to come to an end, and happiness needs to be. As the months goes by, the chaos will calm down, and things will settle down. You know, Peace is greatly needed. Without peace, they won't be able to move forward. You know, Peace is very, very crucial for our advancement, for our growth, for our unity, for working together. Without peace, it will be very difficult to work together in achieving goals and objectives. It will be so difficult. So peace is very, 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 very needed. Something urgently needed right now. Thanks everyone for listening to this, and I hope you have an um, awesome New Year. Thank you once again. Thank you once again.